morning, everybody, or good afternoon to some of you. I have a question, Jay, just two questions. Number one, I'm trying to get my insurances settled, and I've learned that insurances for homes are different than insurances for apartments. And so for the back house, the insurance that we use, I forgot the name of it. Excuse me for losing the yes. So my back house is completely like brand new, and I forgot to tell them that, even though my main house is an older home. So I think that's gonna have also a play in the price. What's the amount for the dwelling and the amount for the content that you would go with for a home? Because it's different for an apartment, which is what you mostly specialize in, or not specialize in, but prefer. There's a difference.
The contents is always going to be at least 50,000 and then up to 75 or 100, especially if it's a 2-bedroom, which I know is more than the contents, but most contents coverage is done on what is known as actual cash value, where they're going to assign some sort of a depreciation factor to it. So I intentionally ask for a larger number so that after they assign whatever depreciation factor to it, it still nets out to enough to replace the items. Then the building, so there are a number of strategies when it comes to the actual dwelling. So the older the building, the more likely I am to go to replacement coverage. The older the building, the more likely I am to use replacement coverage. Here's why. Because replacement coverage includes things like it's an ordinance and law coverage, which means in order to rebuild, like if the building was built in 1955, 65, 1920, whatever,
correct.
The codes have changed since then. Right. And I want to make sure that I can rebuild the exact same thing, or at least I have the financial capacity to rebuild the exact same thing, accounting for the differences in any sort of ordinance or code changes, and making sure that those ordinance and code changes are also included and covered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying the older the building, the more likelihood you're going to use replacement coverage. If it's a newer building, then you won't use replacement coverage. Right. You'll just use whatever the alternative is.
Right. I'll go with ACV again. Same idea. So I'm more willing to go with ACV in that situation. However, I still go for a larger dollar amount because, again, I already know they're going to apply the depreciation to it on the schedule should a claim be needed. So for the most, and I know replacement costs more, but you also get more on the other end as well. The main coverage, though, that I do care about is making sure that you have a minimum of $1 million of liability or more, because I look at insurance as a down payment or prepaying for legal defense. Because if you have or ask the insurance company for a $100,000 policy versus $1 million versus a $5 million policy, the very first check that they do in the event of a claim is a cost-benefit analysis. Meaning, if it is cheaper for them to just pay $100,000 than it is to defend, they'll just pay it. The higher the number, the harder it is for them to not then employ their attorneys to defend, if that makes sense. They've got better attorneys than I could pay for. So I like having them on the hook for a lot of money, because then they're going to send their absolute best in the case when it's needed. Does that make sense?
Correct. So $1 million liability, and minimum. Then 50,000 minimum, and then 50,000 for content.
If it's a 1-bedroom, yes.
Okay, if it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, brand new home.
Well, the content is going to be somewhere between 75 and 100,000 then, in my world.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking is because obviously I'm in Southern California, LA, and I know you have properties there. So 75 to 100.
Yeah, for content. Yeah.
And then what would you do for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, brand new for dwelling.
Do you have a recent appraisal? And what's the year built of the building?
Well, that's the thing. My main house was built.
That's what I'm carrying right now. Before I get to coverage B, so there's coverage A, which is dwelling, which is what you're talking about, and then coverage B is like additional structures. They're usually two separate coverages.
Okay, so the first house, the main house, is built in 1946. I haven't officially put that one as a unit. I started renting that one out. It's ready to go, but until I get this sorted out, I haven't officially put it on the market. So I've only been using the back house, which is the brand new structure.
I would do it, that's going to be closer to the replacement cost situation on the front house. I would just want to, right there, that alone, the age of the building makes me want to go towards a replacement cost.
Okay, and everything, just so you know, everything is done pretty much new. The house has been completely remodeled before I bought it.
Did you take out every electrical wire, all the plumbing, and did you upgrade the connection to the sewer on the street?
I'm pretty sure that stuff was done.
Wow. Okay, that was done. That's amazing.
Yeah, the guy who I bought the house from, he was an actual contractor, and he remodeled the whole house, even though the house was made in 46.
I mean, okay. Well, I would verify that on the permits then. Because you should be able to pull that and be able to see what's been done. I mean, if that's rare.
Okay.
But if they did that, like, because the stuff I'm talking about is all internal stuff that typically you don't get compensated for, because
right.
you it's not I got fancier plumbing, let me pay another $10,000 for this house. No, very few. That's not a normal thing. So. That's where my concern is. It's around the electrical, it's around the plumbing, and it's around any sort of HVAC or sheeting, like the external, especially the roof. But if that stuff has been done, then okay, then maybe you can make a case to go back to ACV, because I'm assuming you still have a loan on it, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's going to come down to the cost difference. I would at least have them run it both ways and look at it that way. That's kind of where I'm going to end up being split.
Got you. And would you do coverage for, because he was saying that there's two ways to do the coverage. He could do coverage as, how do you describe it? He was basically saying as coverage to replace my actual home insurance, or coverage as in just for the short-term rental model.
I would have him run it both ways again, because I don't know the coverage that you have. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't. I would again lean towards having them replace the whole home insurance. That's exactly what I would do, because the odds are, in the event of a loss, your existing insurance company is going to use anything that they can to deny the claim. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I would slant towards having them replace your existing home insurance.
Got it. And then, so if I do get a coverage for the front house, because he said that if you have a shared, like, for example, if I'm renting one room out and it's a shared space, then that makes a difference, which is what it would be for the front house, because I kind of live in that space, so I was just going to use that for like nurses. But then the back house is completely different, which is what they more so prefer and specialize in, because you're renting the whole unit. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, okay, in this case, which is, not every case scenario.
For the entire house, as if you're renting the entire house and the entire back unit.
Okay. And then do a separate coverage for the back house versus the front house.
Well, they should be able to put it on the same policy, but yes. They should be able to put it on the same policy, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then my last question is, for the dwelling for the back house, is there a number that you would shoot for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
What did it cost you to build it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
What did it cost you to build it?
The back house, I don't remember, because I bought it. I bought it. It was already being built. It came with the price.
Yeah. So then, I would just go again. They should have once you determine the rate on or the coverage on the front house, he should have a number for the back house. And just make sure, again, like I said, because of everything that you're saying, I guess I'm kind of okay with ACV, but if you want to be 100% sure, just go with replacement cost. And that's really where that is, because without knowing what the replacement cost is or what you spent for it, I don't know.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you. Appreciate it.